My name is Jaime Valencia, and this is my presentation for the final project, Simple Workflow and AWS Flow Framework for the class E90 Cloud Computing, Harvard University Extension School. Okay, the agenda of the presentation goes like this. Uh, First, we will give you a simple definition of what a simple workflow service is. Then I will talk about what was the problem that I was trying to solve. And finally, I will show you a running demo of an application implementing simple workflow service. Okay, so before giving the official definition of what a simple workflow service is, let's talk about generic way of what a workflow is and what the pieces are involved. So usually in a workflow, you put your business processes, and your business logic. You also need to take in consideration managing infrastructure, meaning some of the pieces could be running in remote places. So you need to take in consideration how to communicate with those remote places. Um, the other piece will be coordinating the tasks. The workflow is composed of different steps, and you need to make to have a coordination among all those tasks. Usually, when you put all this together, you have a workflow which creates our applications. Uh, let's, in order to understand better how a workflow is defined in Amazon, let's see a common and simple workflow application that registers new customers and what is involved in this application. Okay, so we have the first piece will have step will be register the address of the new customer. Then we will go and register the billing details related to that customer. Then we validate those billing details. Usually this will happen with a third-party application or in a remote place. And then finally we will create an account. Um, this step is a synchronous step. However, this one is a asynchronous step, usually because it runs in, as we said before, in a remote and probably in a third-party uh, location. Um, so if we want to add more complexity to this, is that probably all of these different steps, tasks within the workflow can run in different processes, even in different networks, which makes the, the coordination of the entire workflow a nightmare, a real challenge to do. Okay, what is a simple workflow service? Um, Basically, it's a service that make it easy just to develop asynchronous and distributed applications. They provide a programming model and infrastructure for coordinating distributed components. Uh, uh, they claim that it can maintain execution state in a reliable way, allowing auditing and history check. Um, Basically, what in simple terms is what they say that they can do that you can do with the service is that you can focus on the business logic and creating that with any language of your choice and run your business logic and then put it on play on the simple workflow service in the AWS, and the service will take care of the uh, uh, coordination of the task coordination, the manipulation of the steps, regardless of being in multiple and remote boxes, servers, um, um, so you can focus on the real business. Um, there is a fundamental concept in the Amazon simple workflow service is the term workflow, and they have a definition for that, which is just a workflow is a set of activities that carry out some objective together with logic that coordinates the activities. For example, a workflow could receive a customer order and take whatever actions are necessary to fulfill it. Each workflow runs in AWS resource called a domain, which control the workflow scope. Um, an AWS account can have multiple domains, each of which can contain multiple workflows, but our workflows in different domains cannot interact. When when designing an Amazon simple workflow, I'm sorry, you precisely define each of the required activities. Activities are the steps involved in the workflow. Uh, uh, you then register each of these activities or steps with the Amazon SWF as an activity type. Pretty much you're just saying to Amazon, okay, here are the steps of my workflow. Um, when you register each of your activities or steps or tasks, you provide information related to that activity, like the name and a version. You can also define some timeout values uh, uh, based on how long you expect the step, task to take. For example, in the previous example that we were seeing, we say that uh, a customer may have an expectation that making a registration will take around 24 hours. Such expectation will inform the timeout values that you specify when registering your activities. Okay, I think it's easier to understand all the concepts together here, just running an example. But first, I just need to explain what was the problem that I was trying to solve. This is just a fictional scenario that I just made up, which is uh, the end goal is that you want to download videos from YouTube, put it put them into a zip file, and then upload that zip file to an S3 bucket in your AWS account. And at the end, you want to clean up the downloaded videos and the zip file that you create. So it goes something like this. Okay, so you have a list of YouTube URLs, the ones that you want to download. You will download this using a third-party jar file that I download called ROM YTD2. It's open source. You can download it. Um, then that one will download the videos. Once the videos are in the machine, what we're going to do is the process will zip those videos, uh, and then the next step will be just to upload that zip file to an S3 bucket. And at the end, what we want to do is to delete the previous downloaded video files. So it's kind of a cleanup step. And then we also will delete the zip file that we create. These are kind of a cleanup steps, the last two uh, tasks that we have here. So the demo, before running the demo, there are a couple things to keep in mind. Uh, uh, Before running the demo, I did two uh, setups into my AWS account. The first one is that after logging into my AWS account, I went to the WF console, and I define a domain where my workflow is going to work. I define that domain as a YouTube downloads. That's the name. Also, that name, I have to set up that name in my application properties within in the running demo that I'm going to show you in a minute. Uh, these two need to be exactly the same, otherwise it will not work. Um, the other piece is that I create a bucket. In this case, I call it E90 YouTube, and you also need to set up that value within your application properties. This is going to be the bucket where the zip file is going to be uploaded. Last piece, and this is just to explain you how it works. Within the application properties, there is a property called workflow.input.source URL, where pretty much what you do is just copy and paste any amount of URLs from YouTube that belongs to the videos that you want to download. In this case, I just put two, this one and this one, video one and video two, and they are just separated by a white space or blank. Okay, so now let's run the demo. Um, Here is my Eclipse. I'm gonna run it from Eclipse just to be able to show you some of the source pieces. Um, Here are the interfaces and the classes that I use to implement my workflow. I have uh, an interface and an implementation of that interface for each of the steps and tasks I previously uh, showed in the that I previously showed in the previous slide. So I will have one that will download. The first step will be download the videos. Then I will have one that will process the file. This one is in charge of creating a zip file. Then I also have one activity that is in charge of uploading the files, uploading to the file actually, the zip file to the S3 bucket. Besides that, I have three more files. Okay, so important here is this one. This is the workflow, which implements also an interface. This pretty much is the workflow of the application. So this one is the one that has the orchestration of all of those different steps. I'll show you really quick here. So the first step here is that I will call download for the first step, and then eventually I will call this one, which create the zip file, and then I will use the next one that will upload the file to the S3 bucket, and then here I will call to delete the downloaded files for kind of a cleanup session, and then here I will delete the zip file. So as you see, this is the workflow, the one that is kind of the orchestrator of all the tasks. Then I also have workflow hosts. These are an activity host. These are the ones that I use to register my workflow and the steps, meaning the activities within the AWS. I also need a trigger point to start my workflow. Okay, so I have my properties here, and okay, let's see if we can run this really quick. So in order to run this, I need to register my activities. I already did, but I want to show you how that works. So I will say run, and then I will start that application. Okay, so that one is there. It registered the activities since they were already registered. There's nothing that you can read here. And I'll do the same with the host, with the workflow host. Run as a Java application. And same thing is ready. So pretty much now we're ready. So what I just need to do now is just to start the workflow. And here is the class that will trigger that. So we'll do the application, and now let's see what happens. So now you see that the first step kicks in, and is saying is that trying to download video 1 and video 2. So okay, now we see that it comes back and that step is done. There is some information here saying the downloads 2 files, 2 videos, this is the title, etc., etc. Also, uh, then the next step is triggers, uh, kicks in, which is creating a zip file, a YouTube video, YouTube videos that zip file, the one that we define the application properties. Here are the files that were added to the zip. Then it says the step of zipping file activity is done. Now it's working on the third step, which is uploading uh, the nzip file to the S3 bucket. Really quick, let me show you something really quick. If I refresh the project, you can see there are 2 files here, the ones that were downloaded. These are the videos, and also the zip file that was created with those 2 files. If we go back to the console, it's supposed to be kind of quick. This should not be long videos, so shouldn't be big files. So while we're waiting, okay, so it comes back. It says uh, the third task of uploading the file is done. We will check that in a minute. Then we see the cleanup steps also kick in. It deletes the video files that we downloaded and also the zip file. If we go here really quick and I refresh the project, you will see that the downloaded videos and the zip file are gone. So the last piece that we need to validate is that the zip file was uploaded to the S3 bucket. So you just remember that this was the target bucket is a downloads folder, and here is the file that we just upload. I'm gonna download this one really quick so we can just validate that the right files uh, were copied into the zip file. So we just go here, and here's the file. Here are the 2 videos.
So, you've made it to the last round of a TV game show, and
Here's the second one.
we all feel in control of our actions and thoughts. It's what defines.
Okay, so the file was successfully uploaded. So the next piece is just to go and validate in the SWF console that uh, the workflow execution, you can check the history and the different steps that were executed in order to process the entire workflow. It is the workflow, it is our process. It's some detail about it. You can see, let me see if I can get, here is the latest, is this one? Yes, this is the latest execution, when it started, when it finished. And also here are the activity types, I'm sorry. Remember, activities are the steps or tasks of your workflow. Here is the download step, file processing, which is the one that created the zip file, the S3 upload, and the delete local files. I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thanks for watching.